Hello and welcome to my video where I will show you all of my PlayStation 4 games. So I like to do this additional video on a Sunday that's completely non-Warhammer related. Sometimes it will be a motorbike video, sometimes it'll be a knife review, sometimes it'll be something about video games, or maybe video game footage, or maybe an unbox of something completely different. But whatever it is, it's always going to be a non-Warhammer day on the Sunday. It doesn't mean that I'm not actually doing anything non-Warhammer at the weekend. As you can probably tell, I've got a lot of projects going on, and there's a lot of hobby stuff that I'll be doing behind the scenes. Anyway, back to the video. So this is my entire PlayStation 4 video game collection, minus all the digital copies that are already installed on the PlayStation 4, like Hellblade and Wipeout Omega collection, God of War 3 Remastered. There's quite a number of sort of digital games that I've purchased over the years on the console too. But I thought with the release of Shadow of the Colossus, I think a week or two ago, I thought it'd be a good time to provide an update. As you can see, my PlayStation 4 game collection is much larger than the Xbox One X game collection, and that's because I've really enjoyed the PlayStation 4 this generation. I'm slowly migrating over to the Xbox One X with the better resolution and the better performance, but at the start of the life cycle I didn't get an Xbox One. I really like the look of the PlayStation 4, I like the look of all the exclusives that were going to come up on it, and made a choice early on. And actually the first game that pulled me into getting a PlayStation 4 was Destiny, believe it or not. I just got hooked on that, very addictive game. Now there's quite a lot of controversy around Destiny 2, which I do have as well. But I just really enjoyed, coming back from work or whatever, playing with mates, and just getting that routine. I enjoyed my time with it, I have to say. But that was the main game that got me into the PlayStation 4. Wolfenstein, pretty good. Worms, well, it's Worms game, isn't it? Shadow of Mordor, again, really enjoyed that game. And then Drive Club, fantastic car game, and then they introduced bikes and it just got that much better. Alien Isolation was like one of the first games on the PlayStation 4 that I got that I was really impressed with the graphics, and it made really good use of the controller, because the controller's got a speaker in it, which the Xbox One doesn't have, and you use the little proximity sensor that obviously, if you watch the films and things, it measures variation in sort of air wavelength, I think it is, to sort of pinpoint where things are. And not only does the speaker emits the beeping sound, but also there's a light on the controller that flashes as well. I mean it's just so immersive, especially with like a good surround sound system. Yeah, it is terrifying. It's actually one of the only sort of games that really has got my heart racing. So that's quite a big thing to sort of say. Call of Duty, yeah, just Call of Duty, isn't it, at the end of the day. Grand Theft Auto 5, really impressed with that. I had it on the 360, and this on the PlayStation 4 just took it to a whole new level. Far Cry 4, big fan of the Far Cry series ever since the first one, and Crysis obviously. I really enjoyed Far Cry 3, set on all the islands and the animals as well. I think I actually did a couple of videos of Far Cry 4 a few years ago when I first got my computer. MotoGP 14, obviously into my motorcycling. Bloodborne, obviously made by From Software. Really looking forward to Bloodborne 2. I don't know whether it's been announced yet, or I haven't really read any news, but yeah, fantastic game. A little bit like Dark Souls, shares a lot of similarities with it. Fallout 4, one of my favourite games in this whole collection. Bethesda just at the top of their game at the moment. They make some incredible single player games, and yeah, if you haven't played Fallout 4, definitely go out and play it. It's a night and day difference from like Fallout 3 and New Vegas, which I thought were really good games at the time, but this Fallout 4 with the improved graphics, and it's a really great setting in Boston as well, and the DLCs were pretty good too. Dirt Rally, didn't really play an awful lot of this, but I do like my Dirt games. I got Dirt 4 on the Xbox One recently, and I'm very much enjoying that, and that's comparing it to sort of Gran Turismo and Forza 7 and Forza Horizon. Dirt is definitely in my top 3 racing games of this generation. Dark Souls 3, fully completed this one. Enjoyed the DLC too, even though it didn't have any trophies or achievements. I think From Software do that. I don't think they had any more, but still, very enjoyable game, huge game, much bigger than I thought it'd be. Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, incredible. If you want a game to showcase the PlayStation 4 Pro, Uncharted 4 and Horizon, we'll move on to that in a moment, but this and Horizon really do showcase it. The graphics are just incredible. They really are, and the gameplay's pretty decent too. Very smooth, much better than it used to be. Doom, when that first came out, almost 2 years ago now, 60 frames per second, just the thumping soundtrack, all the weapons are back. In that suit of armour, you really feel sort of empowered by it. Yeah, fantastic game. Again, Doom, I think you can pick that up quite cheap now. Deus Ex Mankind Divided. I played the first one, but I haven't really got into this one, so that's on my sort of to get around and play game, even though that came out like 2 years ago. Ratchet and Clank, I think I just got that quite cheap, but again, the graphics are pretty decent on that one. They brought out a movie about the same time, so. The Witcher 3, need I say any more about this game? It's just absolutely incredible, and if you've never played a Witcher game, this is quite a decent one to start off with too. Rise of the Tomb Raider, definitely one of my favourite Tomb Raider games of all time. It just took the Tomb Raider that was released a few years before this one to all new levels, and the graphics are way better too. I'm really looking forward to the next one. I don't know whether Crystal Dynamics have announced it yet, but so looking forward to it. Battlefield 1, I do like my Battlefield games, and this one brought a lot of new things to the table, and I'm pleased that they went back to sort of, well, World War I weapons, basically. The Last Guardian, really enjoyed this game by Japan Studio, you know, the people that brought you Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. Fantastic game, single player game, where you control this little dude here, and you have to use Trico to go through the world, go through the levels. So yeah, great game that. Elder Scrolls Skyrim, obviously it's just a Skyrim from 2010, I want to say. So what's this, 8 years old almost? But yeah, still one of the best open world environments and games made, in my opinion. The music just sets it off. I mean, I played Oblivion back in 2005, I want to say, so good 12, 13 years ago, and was completely blown away by that game, and any sort of single player Elder Scrolls game since, I've always had a soft spot for. Titanfall 2, that's pretty decent. The first Titanfall that came out on Xbox One, I think that was a launch title that didn't have a single player experience. This has a full single player campaign. It's not the longest, it's pretty decent though, and obviously it does have the multiplayer, and yeah, that's just excellent. Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, they've recently released a gold edition, and I'd recommend you pick up the gold edition rather than this one, even if you can get it cheap, because the gold edition has all the DLC and stuff in there, and the DLC is pretty good. There's a fair bit of DLC as well, so it is worth your extra sort of £15–20, and it does flesh out the story a bit, but I really like the new direction that Capcom went with this Resident Evil. I think the community got a bit fed up by the sort of over-the-shoulder kind of viewpoint that Resident Evil 4 put out, and then they used that in 5 and 6. So to have 7 go into a first-person shooter direction, but not be it like a run and gun, still be survival horror kind of thing, definitely a smart move. And yeah, I hope they do that with 8. and then swap it back again or whatever. It was a good return to form for Capcom for 7. Mass Effect Andromeda, a fair bit of controversy with this. I played it a fair bit sort of last year, tried to get into it, but all the bugs and just the production quality and stuff just wasn't the same level as like the first Mass Effect 1, 2 and you could say maybe 3. It just wasn't on the same par, and EA, there's again EA a lot of controversy with them and what they do with their little game developers. But there we go. Little Nightmares, I think you can pick this up really cheap now, but if you do that, try and get the one with all the DLC, because I think the third bit of DLC actually comes out, I think it comes out tomorrow or in a few days' time. But yeah, even though this is quite a short game, it was quite cheap when it was released. For a short game to have 3 extra bits of DLC, I definitely would have preferred them to hold off another year and then release it with all of it included. But there you go. Crash Bandicoot, fantastic. If you can get this cheap, it has all 3 of the Crash Bandicoot games in there, remastered, so bumped up in graphics and all the rest of it, and it gives you sort of an idea of how difficult platforming was in the 90s, I think it was, middle 90s or so. Little tidbit of information, the way Crash has been made in this remastered trilogy is a bit different than he was. He was made in like a square polygon kind of box, whereas in this one he's made more of like an egg shape, which means you can jump at the last moment. So you say you think you're falling off a ledge, you can then jump, whereas in the previous one, if you got close to the edge, you'd just fall straight off. So that takes a little bit of getting used to. Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. This was actually better than I thought it would be, and longer than I thought it'd be. And again, the graphics are even better than Uncharted 4. With Chloe Fraser and Nadine, and there's a couple of other cameos and stuff. I won't spoil it too much, but basically this has got the multiplayer from Uncharted 4 on it as well. So yeah, if you can get this is a great little story, and the graphics and the sound is decent. I thought it'd be a big open world game, but it's not. It sort of starts off that, and then it goes down a bit of a path, a bit like the other Uncharted games. So yeah, that's a great game too. Destiny 2. I played it a fair bit when it came out, probably for like the first month or two. Played it quite heavily, and then yeah, within a month they brought out the first DLC pack, which was a fair bit of money, and then they started changing things. They took out strikes that you had to have the DLC for, and they did that for over 2 weeks. I mean, I gave them the benefit of the doubt for 1 week, but it was the same after 2 weeks, and yeah, it's just, for me anyway, my opinion is that they have just tried to turn it into such a money-making thing. The Eververse kind of payment system thing where you buy silver, it was in Destiny 1, but very sparse. The first things you could buy were a couple of emotes, that was it. Then they moved that across to Destiny 2, completely ruined it, in my opinion. They've put all kinds of shaders and ships and weapon skins and all kinds of things. They didn't need that at all. If they'd just kept it with the emotes, that would have been fine, but it's a prime example of corporate greed. It's disgusting, really, and it's completely put me off, well, getting the game again, or any DLC, or anything with Bungie's name on it. And it's such a sad state of affairs to be saying that after all the Halo games. It still has tight shooting mechanics, but everything else is, yeah, meh. And I was quite generous in its review as well at the time, but recently, yeah, it's just got worse and worse and worse, in my opinion. But yeah, Gran Turismo, you need to get this game. If you like racing games at all, I can't recommend this game enough. This, Forza 7 and Dirt 4, my top 3 games of last year. This was quite cheap. I think I only paid about £18 or £20 for it when it first came out. It is online only, which I can see would rub people up the wrong way. You know, because if you want to do single player racing, you know, and you haven't got an internet connection or your internet's down, whatever, you can't. You have to be continuously connected. And one of the reasons for that is because I think it's proper FIA approved. So that means that whenever they change things, that it will change in the game. So just bear that in mind, that it is online only, but I've never had any issues with the servers at all. They do the maintenance at good times. I can always do the online save. And when I first played it, I thought, well, where's the single player mode and stuff? But actually, it took me a while to realise that in your career, you have your exhibition races, where you go through laps, different parts of tracks to learn them, and then you set a time for the full track. Then you have the license, like learning to drive, and then you have the trials as well, which put you in different cars, and some trials you can pick your own car, and then on top of that you can make your own races. And then within about a month or two of it coming out, they introduced a full sort of career mode, which has, you know, your beginner, your amateur leagues and stuff. Yes, there are no trophies for that, well, not direct anyway, but you know, it was great for them to just add that and use all the cars, because you play this game every day and you do your sort of driving marathon, which is your 26 miles or so, and they give you a free car. It was my birthday the other day and they gave me a free car because it was my birthday too. So yeah, that's great, and there's a great sense of reward. It's going to take a long time to get to like level 40, level 50, but I'm almost at level 30 on this game, and it's just been incredible. So if you've got a PS4 Pro as well, it plays at, well, not true 4K, but as close as it can be. But the HDR is fantastic, great implementation of it on that, and it does run very smooth. So yeah, I can't really say enough good things about Gran Turismo. And they released an update at the end of January with a load of new cars, free new cars as well, which is sort of unheard of. And I hope they continue to update it every month, because it definitely keep me interested. Moving on from one excellent game to another absolutely excellent game, Horizon Zero Dawn. This is probably one of the best showcase games you can get. I've got the complete edition, which has the Wildlands DLC, which I haven't even touched, and I've spent probably 20-30 hours on the game already. It's incredible. If you've got a massive 4K screen with HDR, this game is going to blow your socks off. You think things look great in the day, wait until night comes and you've got all that HDR and the lighting and stuff. It is just probably one of the best games in this whole collection. I just can't say enough good things about it. So yeah, try and pick that up if you can. Okami HD, that was a little bit of nostalgia for me. Yeah, I could have got it on the Xbox One X. I originally played it on the PlayStation 2, so I'm used to those controls. Then I got it on the Wii, then I got it on the PlayStation 3. So again, used to those controls too, and then obviously get it on the PlayStation 4. So I've had it 3 times, although I didn't really buy it on the PlayStation 3. That was sort of a freebie. But yeah, if you haven't got it on, if you haven't got a PlayStation 4 and you've got an Xbox One, this is an excellent game. What I would do though is just turn down the sort of ink effect down to its lowest sort of setting. Just makes the game a bit more clearer. But yeah, fantastic games, runs really, really smoothly as well. A long game too, long single player game, but very rewarding. Call of Duty World War II, I thought I'd give this a try. I've enjoyed it so far. The graphics are incredible, it's very slick and very smooth. Yeah, it really captures war very well. I mean, I do prefer sort of Battlefield though, more because it's more sort of teamwork, more squad based, but still very satisfying on the eyes, and all the weapons in the game. And then the final game, the one that I recently got about a week ago, which I've completed, of course, is Shadow of the Colossus. If you missed this the first time round on the PlayStation 2, you definitely owe it to yourself to at least try it. The controls are, they haven't really upgraded the controls as much as I thought that they would. You know, moving about on the horse is a bit of a pain, but the environments and what they've done to improve the image quality and even the sound as well, on a decent system is just phenomenal. And this is quite cheap too. I think I got it for like £20, £22, so very cheap. Definitely one of the best things you can get so far this year. But yeah, I really enjoyed my time with Shadow of Colossus. fully completed it. I just wish that they'd sort of update the ICO now as well, because this game actually came out quite a few years after ICO did. But yeah, it definitely needed updating in terms of graphics and things. But yeah, it's very unique and not much out there that is similar to this. So there you go. There is obviously a few games missing from this list, such as sort of Persona 5, of course, and things like that. And there are a lot of great games coming out for the PlayStation 4 over this next year. Of course, I'd recommend the Dragon Ball Z game. Of course, that looks amazing. The new God of War game comes out in April, I think. And then you've got Red Dead Redemption 2 coming out later this year. It's been put back a little bit. And of course, there's Bloodborne 2 and so on. But yeah, that was just a little bit of an insight into my PlayStation 4 collection. So I'm running all of these games now on a PlayStation 4 Pro, on a very large 4K TV with HDR and a 7.1 surround system with a very decent amplifier and superb speakers. So I really am trying to get the best out of these when I consume them. Which are your favourite games out of my collection or out of your collection, and what are you most looking forward to in 2018 for the PlayStation 4? Please do put it in the comments below what you're looking forward to. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.